I'm audible, can you just say yes in the chat box? All right. All right, guys. So welcome to the session on data analytics in FinTech. Okay. So this is going to be 3 hours of workshop. Before starting, I'll just introduce myself, and I would also request all of you to give a little introduction about yourself in the chat box if possible. Okay. So my name is Manvendra Singh. Currently, I'm working with Kinara Capital. So Kinara Capital is a fintech company. So we give loans, MSME loans, business loans, and I'm working there as a data scientist. And before this, I had worked with Great Learning. I had worked with a couple of startups. Okay, and I'm having a 4 years of experience in data science and analytics. And yeah, that's pretty much about me. I would request all of you to just give a little intro about yourself, so I would know your background, right? And accordingly, we'll proceed with this session. Okay, all right. So Gobika, you're a BCom student. That's great. Okay, Selvan from Christ University, currently in first year BCom honors. Okay, great. How about others, guys? Can you just write one line about yourself? Advait, you are a final year BCom student from Christ. Okay. Hariharan, BCom honors student in Christ. Okay. All right. So just one question. Okay. Niranjan from Chennai, pursuing CA, currently doing CA articleship. Great. Karthik Gupta, 2-year MBA, MC Engineering College. Right. All right, folks. Great. Okay. So I believe none of you have any background in programming. Okay, so we will also have an little introduction to Python, and we'll see how easy it is to learn Python for analytics actually. Okay, so we'll go through that as well. Now, in this session, we are going to talk mostly about analytics in finance, how it is used in finance. Okay, we'll see application. We'll solve one case study as well on that. Okay. So let's get started. So let's just talk about this analytics. Okay. So what according to you is analytics? And where can we use analytics? Be it finance, be it any place. Yes. So how companies are using analytics? Sorry. Karthik, your second year MBA, MC Engineering College. Great. All right. Yes. To simplify raw data. Yes. To simplify raw data, we can use analytics. So others, what do you think? Where can we use analytics? And why do we need analytics, first of all? Interpret large data into valuable insight for projections, right? Okay. Right, so all of this are correct. Okay, there is not one answer to this. To get answer to questions of data in business, right? Okay. Okay, so there are volume of data, right? There are data that we are producing every day. So whether you open your laptop, the moment we wake up, the moment we open our eyes, right, from that point till we go to sleep, what we are doing is we are just producing data, right? So the moment you open your phone, right, you start scrolling, you see some ads, right? You click on those ads, right? Then you go to Facebook, Instagram, all the social media. Then you look at your emails, right? And all this thing. So from the moment you are awake till the moment you are going to your bed, what you are doing is you are just producing data, right? And there are a lot of companies which want to utilize this data, because for companies we are nothing but their consumer, right? So they want to sell everything to us, right? And they want to make this informed decision, because a lot of people may be interested in some products. Most of the people might not be interested in some products, right? So I want to identify my set of customer to whom I can target. Correct? So for example, let's say someone looking to get a bike, but you don't have the money, right? Then what do you do? Search for how to get a loan, right? What will be the EMI if I want a bike, or what is going to be the premium that I'll have to pay if I want a bike, right? So in that case, whenever you do a Google search, you're sending data like I'm interested in bikes, and the next day what you see is a lot of ad where you will see a lot of people selling you the bikes, right? You might also get calls from people who wants to sell you the bikes. And then if you want a bike, what is required to get a bike? You need money, right? So also you will see a lot of companies who give loans, bike loans or the car loans. They will start calling you like, so this is the offer, do you want a loan from us, right? Or this is the then if you get a bike, then people start selling you insurance, right? You have got a bike, but what if something happens to you or to your bike, right? There's going to be a lot of cost in repairing your bike. Then what they do is they start selling you insurance, right? So see the cycle, right? So once you are interested in buying the bike, you get a lot of ads to buy, to give you a lot of option where you can see different kind of bikes that you're interested in, right? And then to get that bike, there are a lot of companies who are going to fund you, and for that they start calling you, sir, this is the interest rate if you get a loan from us to get this vehicle, right? And once you get the vehicle, they start selling you the insurance, right? So all this companies, they are utilizing your data, they are utilizing our data, right? And there is a lot of analytics that goes behind. So what you are doing, do you have a bike or not? If you have a bike, then I'm going to sell you insurance, right? If you don't have a bike but you're interested in bikes, then I'm going to show you ads to make you interested in buying one of my bikes, right? And if you don't have the fund to get afford it yourself, then I'm going to show you ads, or I'm going to show you ads to get a loan. And a lot of companies who give loans will start calling you, right? Once you get a loan, then there will be a lot of people like get an insurance. So all this is never ending cycle, and all of this is where the analytics comes into picture, right? So today specifically we are going to talk about analytics in finance. Okay, now let's see, so what do we mean by fintech? So we are talking about finance and technology, right? So what according to you is a fintech? Yes. So in this session, we are mostly going to focus on the analytics in the financial domains. So there are a lot of fintech companies. Can you name some fintech companies? Yeah, let's just keep it interactive. Yes, maybe you can write it in the chat box. RuPay, yes, RuPay is a fintech. Paytm is a fintech. Every day we are doing UPI, right? So every day we are using PhonePe, we are using Google Pay, right? All these are fintechs. MasterCard, Visa, yes. Then you have PayPal, right? Khatabook. And there are a lot of other companies, right? So there are a lot of fintech companies. Now, these are nothing but these were the financial companies, right? They used to provide financial services, right? And now they have started using the technology. So the finance and the technology, when we merge this becomes the fintech. So fintech companies are nothing but these are just the businesses that uses technology to offer the financial services or the products, right? For example, if I'm giving you a loan, and to give you loan, I need a lot of details, right? And if you see the previously, okay, back in the days, if you see 5-10 years back, we had to go to bank, we had to fill out forms, right? We had to submit a lot of documents, and then we used to get our account open, right? Just to open account, there was a lot of process, like we have to go physically at the bank, then we have to fill out the forms, and we have to give a number of documents, and then in some days our account used to get open, right? Now nowadays, if you see, just by sitting at your home, right, and going to their application or apps, we can fill out all the details, we can do our KYC, right? And we can just open one account by just sitting at home. We don't have to physically go at the bank, right? So this technology had transformed this financial services and this financial businesses. Similarly, for getting a loan, so getting a loan was even a cumbersome process. So when you have to get a loan, you had to submit n number of documents. So we used to submit our Aadhaar, PAN card, then we have to submit our properties papers, right? Then we have to submit our KYCs and everything. Sorry. Then they will physically come and verify all these things, and then we used to get the loan, right? So there was a lot of process involved in getting loan as well. But nowadays, companies, they have all your data. They know how much you earn, they know how much you spend, right? They know how much you can afford, and because they have all this data about yourself, they already know like how much loan you can take from us. So they start marketing it, they start calling you like, sir, you have you can take a personal loan of this much amount from us, right? Because they already have your data, they know how much your salary is, they know how much you can afford, they know what is your spending pattern, right? So they start selling you. Similarly, these days you get a lot of calls for getting a credit card as well, right? So if you see credit card, everyone is selling the credit card, be it Flipkart. Even Flipkart has their own credit card, right? So they partner with the banks and they sell credit cards, and then you have the option of buy now pay later, right? So there again they check, are you going to pay us back? Because buy now pay later, if you're not going to pay me later, that's going to be a loss for me, right? So I don't want to make a loss. So what, and also I know that you can afford it, but just not now, but maybe later on you can pay me. That in that case, I can give you that option of buy now pay later. So they have all this data of ours, like how much we can afford, right? And based on that, they give you this limit, like how much you can take a credit from the banks. Okay. Now, if you see, all these companies are nothing but a fintech company. So if you talk about payments, we have Paytm, PhonePe, Google Pay, MobiQuick, Razor Pay, right? Bharat Pay. All these are nothing but the payments bank. Similarly, if you have lending is nothing but who gives you the loan, right? So you have FairSend, Incred, Lending Card, Just Money, right? And there are a lot of other companies which gives you the credits or which gives you the loans, right? And then there are insurance companies. So you have Policy Bazaar, you have Digit, right? And there are other Quick Insure, Recovery, and all this companies which sells you the insurance. And then there are investment technologies, right? Where you can go in their platform and you can do investment in the stock, in the mutual funds, and so on. So we have Zerodha, we have Grow, Upstocks, and so on. Then there are blockchain companies, right? And there are a lot of other companies like Happy, OK Credit, Credit Vidya. All these companies have started giving you loans, right? So you just have to go there on their website. You just have to submit few of your documents, and they will evaluate and they will know how much you can afford, and they will lend you, right? Okay. So where do we use the analytics in fintech's company? For what purpose, right? Can you, before going to the next slide, can you just tell me, like, mostly in fintech, let's talk about one company, let's say a lending company, okay? Let's say lending card, okay? Where all lending card can utilize analytics, or where all lending card can make use of data, for what purpose? Anyone? You can maybe write it in the chat box. So let's say I'm a bank, okay, and I want to give loan. I'm giving loans to the customers. So where all I can use analytics, data and analytics. Okay, Niranjana says to know the customer spending pattern, to analyze customer, okay. What about others? Credit worthiness, right? Okay. Now let's whether they can afford or not, correct? That's right. Now let's understand. Okay, let's say I am a customer. Okay. Now if I'm a customer, I want to open a business. Let's say I want to open a restaurant. But to open a restaurant, I don't have money. Okay. So we want to open a restaurant, but we don't have money. But I know that if I open a restaurant, I'll do a very good business. Okay. So I go to a bank and I tell them, like, I want to open a restaurant, but I don't have money. So I'll tell bank that I need, let's say, 20 lakhs of money as a loan. Now, as a bank, are you going to give me the loan? If you're going to give me the loan, what other things you're going to evaluate about me? Because just going to the bank and telling the bank, like, I want 20 lakh loans, they won't just offer it to me, right? So what all they are going to check? Yes. Because bank receives hundred of applications, right, in a day, and not everyone gets the loan. So there are few criteria that banks has set. So how do you decide whether this person who is asking a loan to open a restaurant, okay, shall I give him the loan or not? Credit points, okay. Collateral, okay. So collateral is nothing but whether you have some security or not, right? Like property or machinery or the stocks that bank can give you loan against, right? Yeah, guarantee, previous defaults, if any. Okay, fine. Okay. So I believe you guys would have heard about credit score, right? What is a credit score? Have you heard about credit score, guys? Yes. So there are a lot of companies, okay, which tells the credit score. So you have CIBIL, that tells you the credit score. We'll talk about what credit score is, okay. So you have CIBIL, which gives you credit score. Then you have Equifax, which also tells you tells you about the credit score of a customer, okay, consumer. Then there is CRIF, which tells you the credit score as well, okay. Now what is this credit score? So this credit score is nothing but, let's say, if you have taken any loan, okay. So if you have taken any loan from a bank previously, before coming to this bank where you are asking a 20 lakh loan for setting up your restaurant, okay. So let's say you have already taken a loan in the past. So if you have already taken a loan in the past, you would have paid that loan, right? Or whether if you have not paid it, you might be paying that loan currently, right? Let's say you have taken the loan uh, before of 15 lakhs and currently you are left with 5 lakhs there. So you still have to pay the 5 lakh loans in the other bank. Okay. So now what this does is there are this company which gives you credit score. So what they look at is whether you have been paying regularly. Okay. So your past loan that you had, whether you had paid on time or not. Okay. So if you are paying on time and you're clearing all your EMIs on the given date, then they rate you very high. So the credit score, it is ranges from, so let me just get a new slide. Okay. Okay. So this credit score will range from 0 to 1000. Okay. Where 0 means very bad customer. Okay. That means you have taken a loan in the past and you're not paying. Okay. So they give you a very low score. So it's not going to be 0 for something else. Okay. When you get in the FinTech, you will understand that. Okay. So mostly you're going to have around 300. 300 means you have a very bad score. Okay. You cannot be trusted with the loans. Then there is this 1000. So if you have a credit score of 1000, that means you are a very good customer. You have paid all your loans on time. You have cleared all your dues. You have never defaulted on your payments. Okay. In that case, you're going to have your score near 1000. But if you have a score of more than 700, that is considered as good credit score. Okay. And most of the companies, lending companies, consider that as a good credit score if you have a credit score of more than 700. Okay. So all this, your past behavior with the loan, whether you have paid it or not, whether you have defaulted, or whether you are making a lot of loan inquiries, all this is reported to these companies and they give you a credit score. Okay. So first thing this lending companies does is check your credit score. So if I'm going to a new company and if I want a loan of 20 lakh to set up my restaurant, first thing they are going to check is what is my credit score. Okay. So first thing they will do is check my credit score. Now let's say I have not taken loan in the past. In that case, there won't be any data, right? I'm taking a loan for the very first time. So if I'm taking a loan for the very first time, how can I have a credit score? How they will know whether I'm making payments or not? So in that case, they have some concept of new to credit. Okay. So they say this guy is new to credit. That means this guy is taking a loan for the first time. So we don't have any data about this customer. Okay. So the very first time you're going to take a loan, they will consider you as a new to credit. Okay. In that case, bank will not have sufficient information about you, right? What is your pattern of spending, whether they can trust you with the loan or not, whether you're going to make the payments on time or not, right? Whether you're going to run away with the loan, they don't have any information. So in that case, what they can check? So if you already have a past loan, they can check your credit score. But let's say I don't have a past score. What else we can check in that case? Anyone? Income. Okay, great. Yes. Okay. So I'll check for income. Okay, EMI. Great. What about others? Transactions. Yes. Okay. Fine. Yes. Right. So if I don't have bank balance, correct? Right. So all these are correct answers. Okay. So if I'm going to take a loan for the very first time, okay, and I want a loan of 20 lakhs. So what the companies will do is they will check, first of all, whether I can afford this 20 lakhs or not. Okay. And to check whether I can afford it or not, they will look at what is my income, right? How much I am earning, how much deposit is coming every month in my bank. So what is my bank balance, right? How much income is getting credited every month. So they are going to check that, right? Now, one thing is they're going to look for credit in our accounts. Also, they're going to check, so what is our income and what is net credit in our bank account, right? Okay. Next thing they are going to check is how much is my liability. Yes. Let's say you're getting an income, so you work somewhere and every month you are earning 50,000. So that is your income, right? But out of that income, you will have to pay the rent, right? You will have to pay for the groceries, you will have to pay for the transportation, right? If you have some kids, then you have to pay for their schools, right? So these are nothing but your liability. Or if you have a car, then you will have to pay for the fuels and everything, right? So now I'm going to check, this is your income. So every month you're getting 50,000. Out of this 50,000, how much is your liability? Like how much you are paying to others for rent and etc. Right? So we'll look at their income, we will look at their liability, and based on this, whatever is left is nothing but the balance, right? So let's say I earn 50,000 and out of 50,000, I spend, let's say 30K. So at the end of the month, I'm left with just 20K. Correct? So now based on this 20K, can I give you a loan of 20 lakhs? Okay. So now the bank will have to decide, right? Like this person is making 50,000 month, his liability is 30,000 and he's left with 20,000. Now on this 20,000, how much loan can we give, right? How much loan can we give to this customer? Yes. So now bank will decide, because on this 20K, maybe you need some fund for your emergency as well. For example, you might have some medical emergency, right? So if I give you a EMI of 20K, let's say I'm a bank, I'm saying that this guy is left with 20K, that means he can pay 20,000 per month to me. Correct? So I will give you a loan with 20K EMI. But as a bank, will I feel secure if I give you a loan with a EMI of 20K? As a bank, are you going to feel secure? Yes, no? Okay, Advait says no, Gopika says no. What about others? Will you be secured as a bank? No, right? Correct. No one is, you are not going to feel secured, right? Because let's say every month you are left with 20K and you are paying that. Now you are left with how much balance? You are left with zero balance, right? In a month, if there is any medical emergency, or in a month, if you have any events in your family, that month as a bank, I'll be afraid, because that month you might default, you might not make your payments, right? And as a bank, that is going to be a loss for me. Okay. So now I have to take care of all the scenarios, like 20K is left. Okay, but can I give you an EMI of 20K? No. Okay. So what bank can do is, maybe I can give you a EMI of 10K. So maybe I can give you a loan where the EMI is 10K and maybe not 20 lakhs. Maybe I can just give you 5 lakhs, right? Based on whatever your income is. So this is how the bank decides on an, higher level. Like how much you can afford, how much you can pay, and what should be your EMI, and what should be your tenure, and what should be your interest rate. So now here again, the interest rate depends on the customer risk, right? For example, I feel that you're very risky customer, okay? So let's say if you are a customer, you are new to credit, you don't have any credit history. So I'm taking a risk, right? By giving you a loan for the very first time. I don't know whether you will pay the loan or not, right? So as a bank, I'm taking a risk. So in that case, what I can do to recover my money, I will charge more interest from you. But a customer who has a good credit score, he has taken a loan in the past and he has paid all his EMIs. For that customer, I'll feel more secure, right? Because he has taken a loan and he was able to clear all his payments. So for that customer, maybe I can give a little less interest rate, right? So this is how all this analytics is used in the fintech. One is for lending, right? If I'm lending you, how much I can lend? What is the risk associated with that, right? And what I can do to mitigate that risk, to reduce that risk, right? So to reduce that risk, maybe I can charge high interest rate from you, right? So all this we can see here, okay? In the fintech company, how the analytics is used in the fintech. First is on lending, okay? So we assess the risk and credit worthiness of the customers by looking at their payment behaviors and the spend patterns. The next one is fraud detection. Okay. Now there is a lot of fraudulent activities that can be tracked. Correct? Now let's say, so bank asks you for your bank statements whenever you are going to get a loan, right? They ask you, give me your bank statement for 12 months, 1 year, right? Or 3 months. So what they do with this bank statement? So with this bank statement, they analyze your income. They analyze your liability, right? They see your, spending patterns, where all you are spending, how much you are spending. At the end of the month, how much your balance is left, right? Now let's say a bank asks you this bank statement of last 3 months to check how much you can afford, how much loan bank can give. And let's say I know all this thing and I want to increase my bank balance. So I want to increase my month end balance, okay? So what I will do is I will ask my friends. Okay, so let's say there is a friend. I will ask him to deposit 1 lakh in my account. Okay, so I got a 1 lakh in my account, but that is not my money. What I have done, I have borrowed it from my friend. So when I borrowed it from my friend, it shows as credit in my account. So my credit in account is 1 lakh, right? Then again the next month I ask my other friend to send me 1 lakh rupee. Okay, but again that is not my money, right? I have borrowed that money again. Then on the third month, again I ask some other friend, okay, to deposit, let's say 1 lakh again. So now I have 3 lakh and I'm not spending for last 3 months. So now my bank balance is very high. Bank balance is very inflated, right? So in the month 1, I got 1 lakh from one friend. In month 2, I got 1 lakh. In month 3, I got 1 lakh. But is this my money? Are you going to consider this as your money? So are you going to consider this as income or liability? Anyone? Okay. liability. Okay, right. So that is not my income, right? That is a liability, because some point in time my friend is going to ask me to return the money, right? But as a bank, I see that as a credit, that 1 lakh is credited to his account. Then the next month, again 1 lakh is credited. Then on the third month, again 1 lakh is credited. But actually, that is a liability because he has borrowed that money, right? Correct? So I cannot consider that as a income, right? And that is where this fraudulent cases comes. Okay, fraud detection. Just to show that I have very high bank balance, for the last 3 months I have borrowed money and kept it in my bank account, right? But if you analyze the past 12 months, maybe in the last 3 months I had inflated balance, my bank balance was very high. But if you analyze for last 1 year, you will see except this last 3 months, the other 9 months my bank balance was very low, right? So that's how you can detect patterns, right? And you can identify the fraudulent cases. Okay, so here bank also use this analytics to identify the fraud cases. Okay, so if I identify a fraud case, I won't give them the money, right? Okay, now the next piece is default prediction. Okay, let's say I identified a good customer and I saw that he's not a fraud and I have given him the money. Let's say we have given him the loan of 20 lakhs. Okay, now this 20 lakhs I have given for, let's say, 5 years. So in 5 years this guy is supposed to pay back all this 20 lakhs with the interest, whatever the interest rate is. Okay, sorry. And if he is not paying that, it's going to be a loss for the bank, right? So what I will do is I will analyze his pattern behavior month on month to predict whether he is going to default on his payment or not. Let's say you have taken today and next 5th is your payment date. So I want to predict whether you are going to pay me on the 5th of the month or not. Let's say month 1. So again, I already have all your data, right? I have your credit score, I have your bank balance and everything, I have your account details. I will see when you had taken your loan versus now. Okay, what is your bank balance? Let's say you have taken loan today on the 15th. What is your bank balance on the 30th of this month? Okay, has it increased or decreased? If it has increased, I'm going to be very sure that you will pay, right? But if it has decreased from what I had seen the last time, then I'll be afraid, right? Maybe you might not pay back. Similarly, I can check your credit score. So when you had taken a loan from me, what was your credit score? And how it has changed today. So if it has increased in the positive way, I will not be afraid because you are paying others, you are making the payments, maybe you will pay by loan as well, right? But if your score has decreased, that means you have not paid to others. And I'll be more afraid. If you're not paying to others, maybe you're not going to pay to me as well, right? So this is month on month basis. I will see what is the change in your bank balance, what is the change in your credit score, and I will try to predict whether you're going to default on the next payment or not. So on a higher level, these are the applications of analytics in the banking and fintech domain. First is lending. So we assess the risk and the credit worthiness of the customers. Second one is fraud detection to identify the fraudulent cases, right? And the next is default predictions, whether the customer is going to pay us or not. Okay, so these are the application. And today in this session, we are going to talk about the one of the use cases, which is default prediction. Okay, so we'll see how we can analyze this defaulters. All right. So do you have any question till now? Anyone? Yes, no? Is this clear, guys? Whatever we have talked about till now. All right, so we are going to see one case study, okay? Sorry. Okay. Sorry. All right, so let's just continue. So let's talk about this loan default analysis, okay? So we're going to see this case study in Python, but as most of you are from commerce or MBA or background, right? And I don't think you have learned coding, okay? So maybe all of you can just go to your browser, okay? And here just search about Google Colab. Okay. So everyone just open your browser and just go to Google Colab. Okay. So if you just search for Google Colab, you will see this first link which says welcome to Colab. So we'll just click on this welcome to Colab. Okay. And when you click this, it will open a Python environment. So this is nothing but this is a Python environment. This is an online platform, okay? Just in your drive, just like you have Google Photos, you have Google Drive, you have Gmail, and you have all this Google services. This is one of the service from Google, okay? Where on the online, if you have internet, you can access this platform and you can write code, okay? Python code. And where this is going to be saved, this file is going to be saved in your drive, okay? Just like your photos are saved in your drive, all your attachments or your documents, you have Google Sheets, Google Docs, everything, right? So similar to that, we also have this Google Colab. It is nothing but a Python environment where we write our codes, okay? So you will see this pop-up screen which says welcome to Colab. For you guys, I think if you're opening for the very first time, it will be this first one, welcome to Colab section, right? So what you're going to do is we'll just cancel this, okay? And then you will see this page which says welcome to Google Colab. And then it gives you all this introduction about Google Colab. You can see, if you want, you can read through this, okay? And see how to use this Google Colab. All right. Now in this section, you will see this file tab. Then there is this edit, view, insert, runtimes, tools, and help. Okay. So if you just click on file, okay, you will see all this option: new notebook, open notebook, upload notebook. Okay. So here we're going to use this open notebook, okay? Sorry, new notebook in Drive. So we want to create a new notebook. So we will just click on the first option, which is new notebook in Drive. All right. So this is your Jupyter notebook. So we call this as Jupyter notebook. So this is nothing but interactive Python, okay? Where we can write our code, we can test it, we can run it with just the access to internet. We don't have to install anything, okay? So here you will see the title. So for me, it is untitled 6. If you see here, right? Untitled 6.ipynb. So ipynb is nothing but interactive Python notebook, okay? So I is interactive, py is Python, nb is notebook, okay? Interactive Python. So if you want to rename this, you can just rename it. So we can just rename this as Python Oh, sorry. Data analytics. Sorry, we can just name this as, let's say, loan default analysis. Okay. And this is the new name of my file. Okay. Also, it will help you out. Okay. So if you're stuck, it can generate the code for you as well. So it uses this Google Gemini at the back end to generate this code, right? But what you can do is you can turn that off for now. So you just click on this Gemini. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So it will generate the code for you as well, right? Now, if you want to write your code, we are going to write this code in this particular cell. So here, print, and if you say hello, okay. So this is your cell where we are going to write our code. And then if you see this option, there is this connect option over here, right? So if we click on connect, then it will initialize your notebook and it will connect to the Python at the back end. So currently it is connecting. Okay. All right. Now it is connected, and once it is connected, it allocates you some RAM and it gives you some disk space, right? So it says connected to Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend, right? So we have connected to Python backend, and we have got RAM of 12.67 GB, and also we have been assigned a disk space of 107 GB as well. And here we can write our code and we can run it. Okay. So this is the cell where we are going to write our code. And how do we run it? So to run it, you just have to press Shift Enter. So if I just press Shift Enter, in the next line, I can see this output. Okay. So I had just executed this very first line. How I executed it? I just press Shift Enter. It executed the code, and we can see the output in the next line. And also it gives me the new cell to write my code. Let's say if you want more new cells to write your code, you just see this code option over here, right? Plus code option. So here we will just click on this plus code. It will give you a new cell, and if you just click new code again, it will give you a new cell. So you can get as many code blocks as you want. Okay. So if you just click on this code plus icon over here, it will give you the code block. And when you write plus on this text, okay, so let's just see. If I click on this plus text, it gives me a text box. So here in the text, we don't write code. We just write any normal text. For example, I want to document this, okay. So I will add a note for myself. Let's say in this class, we are going to talk about data analytics for loan defaults. Okay. And just like we had executed the code above, if you just press Shift Enter again, you will see this text over here, right? So we can see this is just a text block. This is nothing. Just like we write any text block in our Google Doc or any document for that matter, right? So this is where we are going to write our code today. Okay. So are you guys clear with this? Have you opened this, everyone? Okay. Hariharan, yes. What about others? Advait, okay. You have Niranjana as well. How about others? Folks, you have opened this collab, Google Colab. Please let me know if you have any problem opening this, if you have any doubt. Cool, great. Fine. Okay. So I think most of you have opened this. Okay. So if you want to see this, where this file is going to be present, this file is going to be present on our drive. Okay. So if I just go to my drive, and there will be a folder, you can see this folder, Google Notebooks, Collab Notebooks. So if I just click in this Collab Notebooks, I can see all my Google Colab files, right? So there is this loan prediction, and I had all this files which is there. So this is one of the notebook where I had written my codes, all these codes, right? It is saved in my notebook. And where you're going to find this, you're going to find it in your drive. In drive, there will be a folder, Collab Notebooks. If you go there, you will find this. Okay. Now, let me just go back to that and let's just talk about this. Okay, and let me just look at the data that we are going to use. Okay. Anyways, I'll give you a link to download the data as well. Okay. So I'll just paste this link. All right. So this is the data that we are going to use. Okay. I'll just paste it in the comment. Maybe you can just go to this. Okay. Okay, I'm not able to paste it. Let me just see, change the setting to everyone in the group. Okay, there's some issue. I am not able to paste this. Okay. All right, I'll just tell you the path, okay, how to download this. Maybe I can just... So maybe you guys can tell me your email IDs in the chat box and I'll share this with you guys. Yes. All of you, can you just paste your email address, please? Cool. Okay. Let me just share this. So it's kobika578@gmail.com. Okay. Then it's Hariharan. @gmail.com. Niranjana 1235 51235 @gmail.com. Okay. Karthik Gupta. Send at third. Oh. Right. How about others, guys? Can you just paste it quickly? Okay. Then there is Sunita. Okay. So I've sent it. Can you guys just check your mail and download this? Download this data. Yes. Everyone has got. Say yes, no. Have you guys downloaded that data? Sunita, you haven't received. Let me just share it again with you. Okay, I'll share that again with Sunita. So that's your email, right? Okay, this is yours. Okay. Sorry about that. Can you check now, Sunita? Okay. Right, guys. We'll proceed then. Okay. So we're going to talk about this. All right. So let's just frame this problem first of all. So once you frame your problem, then the solution becomes easy, right? So why this defaulting on loan is a problem, and when you are considered as a defaulter? Anyone? So as a bank, why I have a problem with loan defaulters? How it is going to impact banks? Anyone? Repayment issue, okay. What are the others? Why do we need to identify who is going to default on the loan? Okay. Now that's an issue, right? Let's say I have given loan of 1 crore, okay, or let's say 100 crore loans I have given to different individuals. Let's say I have given to 500 people and I have given 100 crore loans. Okay. Now, out of this 500 people, right, or out of this, let's say any number of people, how many people are actually going to pay back, right? If I don't receive the payments month on month basis, okay, that's going to be a problem for me, right? Because I have given you a loan with some interest rate, right? And I need that money back, right? And I need it regularly on time. The payment should be on time, right? Otherwise, it's going to impact my liquidity, right? Also, it's going to impact my business operations. Okay. So this banks put a lot of strategy for the collection, right? So I have given you the loan, but there is a different collection team in the banks, okay, or NBFCs, all these lending companies, they have collection team. So what is the role of this collection team? This collection team does nothing, but they will be after the people who have taken the loan, and they will call them regularly on time to time basis to remind them that their payment is due on this particular date. Let's say on the 5th of every month, okay, your payment is due. So if I identify this risky customers who are not going to make payments, okay, I can take some measures, right, to get the payment back. For example, let's say one customer, by the 5th, his next payment is on 5th. I will start calling that guy from the 1st itself that your payment is due on 5th, right? Please keep sufficient balance so that you are not defaulting on your payments, right? So you start receiving emails by the 1st of the month. You start receiving calls, right? That your payment is due, your payment date is coming near, keep sufficient balance, right? All these things, right? So what happens is bank identify this high risk customer who are going to default. Why? How? Because they have seen in the past what was your balance, what is your current balance, what was your credit score, and what is your score now. Okay, whether it has improved or it has gone in the negative side, right? So month on month, this collection team is after the customers to ask them to make the payments on the time. And if you're not making the payment on the time, that is going to impact the customer as well, right? Their credit score will go down, correct? And also there will be a lot of chasing from the collection team. So they will want to recover their money. You will get a lot of calls day by day, right? So all this is a defaulter, right? And we need to identify this defaulters beforehand so that we can take necessary measures so that the people don't default, right? So here is a problem statements. Okay, so financial loan services are leveraged by companies across many industries, right? From big banks to financial institution to government loans. One of the primary objective, okay, of companies with financial loan services is to decrease the payment defaults and ensure that the individuals are paying back on time on their loans as expected. Okay, in order to do this efficiently and systematically, many companies employ analytics, okay, to identify which individuals are at highest risk of defaulting on the payments of their loans, right? So a proper intervention can be taken or effectively deployed to those set of customers. Okay, so in this data set, if you look at your data set, there are few things, few data points that we have. If I just open this here, okay, fine. So this is our data. So we have ID. ID is nothing but the ID of the customer that we have given. Okay. Then this is limit balance. So how much balance is left for that particular customer to pay back. And then there is gender. What is the gender of the customer? So these values are encoded as 1 and 2. So maybe 1 might mean male, 2 might mean female. We will look at the description of this data as well. Okay, so if you see here, I have the data description as well. So ID of each client, ID column is nothing but ID of each client. Okay, limit balance is nothing but amount of given credit, okay, in dollars. So this is amount which is given in the dollars. Okay, then we have the sex of the customer. So gender, 1 is male, 2 is female. Okay, then we have the education. So if you look at your data, then we have this education field. So we have also encoded this education as well. So here education, 1 is graduate, 2 is they have done some university, 3 is they have high school, and then there is 0, 4, 5, 6 as others. Maybe we are not able to identify all this, so we have put as 0, 4, 5, 6 as others. Okay, next we have is marriage status, marital status. So whether the person is married or not. Okay, so you have 0 which is others, then we have 1 married, 2 that is single, 3 which is divorced. Okay, so you have the marriage status. Then in the data we have the age which is given in years. Okay, and then we have this payment 0, payment 2, payment 3, payment 4, 5, 6. Okay, so what is this payment 0? So payment 0 is nothing but the repayment status of the customer in September 2005. Okay, so this data is a little old, and I think this is the recent month for in this particular data set. So here -2 is no consumption, -1 is paid in full. That means customer had paid his full EMI. 0 is he's using use of revolving credit. That means he has paid the minimum amount which was supposed to be paid, which was due. Okay. One is payment delay for 1 month. Two is payment delayed for 2 months. Okay. Similarly, you have 8, 9. 9 is nothing but, so similarly we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So one is payment delayed for 1 month, two is payment delayed for 2 months, and similarly we have the data till 9 months. Okay. Then you have payment 2. So let's say you have taken the loan in the month of January. So pay 0 is nothing but whether you paid in February or not. If not, how much, from how many months you have not paid back. Okay. So one is payment delayed for 1 month, two is for 2 months, and similarly we have for 9 months. Okay. Similarly, we have 2, which is nothing but repayment status in August 2005. Okay. So this is the most recent payment we are looking at. Have the customer paid in September or not? If not, from how many months he has not paid? Okay. Then you have repayment status in August. Okay. That is the past month. So has the customer paid in past August or not? Then has the customer paid in July or not? Then June, May, April, right? So you're looking at all this data. Okay. All right. There's one question. Let me just check. Could you explain no consumption? Yes. Okay. -2 is no consumption. That means, I mean, you have paid completely. Okay, and there was nothing left, right? So you're not supposed to pay anything. That means you are not, your loan is fully paid, right? That is -2. So you haven't consumed any loan. You have paid completely. Okay. Is that clear, Advait? And -1 is paid in full, right? -2 is nothing, like you would have taken loan in the past. There is nothing left now. -1 is you paid completely. You have cleared all your dues. 0 is you paid whatever was minimum, whatever amount was required to be paid, right? And then there is 1, 2, 3, and so on. Are you clear with this, Advait? Yes, no? Okay. All right. Similarly, you have all these payments. Pay 6. Pay 6 is nothing but the April. So we are looking at past 6 months payment status, whether you have paid or not. Okay. Then there is this bill amount. Okay. So bill amount is nothing but how much you were required to pay in that particular month. Okay. So bill amount 1, amount of bill statement in September 2005. Bill amount 2 is nothing but amount of bill statement in August. Okay. Bill amount 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have past 6 months of bill statements. How much you were required to pay, right? How much was your bill? Then you have payment amount 1, payment amount 3, payment amount 4, 6, right? So amount of previous payments in September. So in September, how much you paid? So this is actually in net dollars, right? This is in dollars, how much you paid. In August, how much you paid. In July, how much you paid, right? So you have all this information. And then the final thing, which is default payment next month. So whether this guy defaulted on his payment in the next month, yes or no. So again, this is encoded as 1 equals to yes, 0 equals to no. Okay. So this is about the data. This data, what we have some customer information like how much balance he has, what is the gender, education, marital status, age. Okay. What was pay 0? So what is the payment status in September till April? What was the bill amount from September till April, right? and how much amount of payment, what is the payment he has done from September to April, and whether the guy defaulted on his payment in the next month. So we have the target yes and no. Okay. All right. So this is about data. Now, first thing we are going to do here is we will have to load the data. Okay. In Python. So this hash, whenever you write hash, we call this as comment. Okay, this hash is nothing but we are writing a comment. What is a comment? These are the simple text. Okay, so if I execute this, nothing will happen. So how do you execute your piece of code? Shift and enter, right? Okay, so again, if you are staying idle for some time, it will disconnect, but again we are reconnecting, and now we are reconnected. Okay, so if I run this, nothing is going to happen. Okay, we don't see anything here. So these are just comments where you can write notes for yourself. What you have to do, you just have to put hash symbol in the front. Okay, fine. First thing we are going to do is we will load the data in Python. Okay, and then we are going to analyze this data, and also we'll see how we can visualize this data. Okay, now there are Python libraries, functions, we call it as libraries or functions, okay, that we will utilize to do this data analysis on this particular data set. Okay, so there is a library called as pandas. So we will learn about pandas a little bit. We'll see how we can utilize pandas to do data analysis in Python. Okay, then there is matplotlib. Okay, so again, matplotlib is for visualization, so for making graphs, for making charts. So pandas will help us clean our data, to load our data, to summarize our data, to make pivot tables. Okay, to summarize our data. And then matplotlib is going to be next step, which is we will visualize the data. So how we can visualize this summarized data, how we can draw line charts, line graphs, how we can draw box plots, how we can make bar charts, that all we are going to see using matplotlib. Okay, and also we are going to learn a little bit about Seaborn. Seaborn is again nothing but a visualization library which will help us to make graphs. Now this is a little advanced than matplotlib. The graphs are more colored, okay, with little coding required for that. Fine. So we are going to learn about pandas a little bit first. We will load the data using pandas. Okay, so here I'm going to write import pandas as PD. Okay, so whenever you have to use your app, for example, I want to use, let's say, Instagram, Twitter, anything, what do? You install it, right? And after installation, then you sign up. After signing up, you can use it, right? Same thing here as well. So this you can think of as a setup, as your system, okay, or your operating system, right? So you might be using Android, you might be using iOS. What are those? Those are operating system. So we can think of this notebook as a operating system. And in this operating system, what we need to do, if we want to use anything, we will have to install it first, right? But some apps comes pre-installed, right? For example, in your Google device, no one has to install Google, right? Or Google Chrome, or you don't have to install the camera app, right? So few of this application comes pre-installed. Yes, Sunita, you will get that. I'll share all this, okay? All these files that we are using it will be mailed to you guys. All right. So what we are doing, import pandas as PD. Okay, so this pandas is already installed. What we are doing is we are just importing it so that we can use it. So how do you import a library? You just write import. Okay, so we're just saying import. Then we are saying pandas. And this is nothing but we are just giving a nickname, because all the time I don't want to write pandas, pandas, pandas. Instead of panda, I'm going to refer to that as PD. So whenever I write PD, PD is nothing but pandas in my code now. So I've given it a nickname. Okay. So import pandas as PD. Similarly, we are going to write import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. Okay. So here we are also importing the matplotlib, and from matplotlib there are vast things. Okay. There are a lot of things in matplotlib, but what I'm saying is from matplotlib import pyplot. Pyplot is nothing but Python plotting. Okay. So import the matplotlib. From matplotlib import this pyplot, and I'm giving it a nickname again, which is nothing but plt. So whenever I want to use this matplotlib, I will call that as plt. Okay. Similarly, we'll also import cbon as SNS. Okay. So what we are saying now, import the cbon package as well and give a name as SNS to this cbon. And then we are going to execute it. So to execute it, again, what we have to do, we just have to do shift enter. Okay. So here we have this packages that we are going to utilize. And these packages is what you are going to use if you are doing any sort of data analysis in Python. Okay. Now I'll require more coding cells. So I'll just click on this code block. I'll click on code and I'll get more code blocks. All right. Are you guys clear till now, everyone? Yes, no? Cool. Okay. Fine. So now we need to load the data, right? So in the side panel on your left, okay, you will see this triple lines, right? Then there is search icon. Then there is this math icon, right? Okay. Then there is key. Then there is this folder. So we'll just click on this folder. Okay. If you click on this folder icon, you will see some sample data. Okay. But I have already shared the link. Please download that data. And if you have already downloaded that data, we are going to load that data. How do we load it? You will see this icon over here. This is upload icon over here. There is a refresh icon. And then you can read the data from drive as well. So this is drive icon, right? But we are going to load the data from our system. So we'll click on this upload button. So if I just click on this upload button, I'll see this screen where it will give me option to select the data or file which I want to upload, right? So I'll click on this first file that I want to upload and I'll click on open. So it gives you a warning that once you close this window, this all will be erased. So we are okay with that. You will again have to follow the same process next time when you open this notebook or when you open this file as well. Okay, so we'll just say okay. Sorry. And now I can see this data over here, right? Credit cards data.csv. So it's loaded in this environment. All of you, have you guys loaded this data now? Can we go ahead? Karthik says yes. What about others? Have you guys loaded? Can we go ahead, folks? Okay. So now I can just close this, okay? Or maybe we can just copy the name of this. All right. Anyways, let's just keep it like that. Now, if I want to read a data, I'm going to use this pandas. What is the name that we have given to pandas? PD, right? So here I'm going to use pandas. So I'll refer to it as PD and then I'll write dot. Okay. And we want to read a data set. So there is a function read underscore CSV. So there are different types of file. So there is Excel file, there is CSV file, which is comma separated values, right? There are text files, there are HTML files, there are XML files, there are JSON files, there are different types of file. Okay. So if you are going to learn about this pandas, you will see a lot of different types of file that we can read as well. But in this session, we are just going to read this CSV. So I'm writing pd.read underscore CSV and in the brackets, in the quotes, okay, I'm going to write the file name. So you will have to write the file name in the quotes. Okay. So what is the file name? Credit cards dataset dot CSV. Okay. And then what we are going to do is, if I load this data, I want to assign it to something. So I'm writing df equals to. That means what I'm doing, I'm loading this data and I'm storing that data in a name, in a variable. So we call this as variable. So I'm loading that data in a variable named as df. Df is nothing, I'm just calling it as data frame. Okay. And then we will just execute this. Okay. What this has done, we don't see any output, right? But what this has done is, so maybe we can close this window now. So you could just click on this cross. And what this piece of code has done is it has loaded the data and stored in df. And if you want to print it or see the output, how the data looks, you just write df. Okay. So if I just write df and again shift enter, run it, I can see this data now. Correct. And then there is this dot 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 because it has concatenated. It is not able to show all the columns. Okay. There is an option as well. If you want to see all the columns, that also we can do, but we don't actually need that. Okay. So this is our data. We had ID, we have limit balance, we had sex, education, marriage, age, then we had payment 0 to 6, then we have bill amount 0 to 6, right? Then we have a payment amount from payment 1 to payment 6, right? And then we had this default, whether the guy had defaulted or not. Okay. So this is our data that we have loaded. Also, there is one function. Let's say you don't want to see all of this data because it is concatenated and it says we have 30,000 rows and there are 25 columns. Let's say from the top, I just want to see first 5 rows. So in that case, what we can do is we can just write the data frame name where we have assigned df dot head. And if you just run it, it will just show you top 5 records. Okay. So here what we have the first 5 records in our data sets. But df has everything. df has 30,000 rows, 25 columns. What you're looking at here is just the top 5 records. Okay. That's all. Let's say you want to see top 10 records. So in that case, in this df.head, in the brackets, we can write the number. For example, I can write 10, I can write 20, I can write 40, 50, whatever number you want. And if I do that, now this shows me the first 10 records. So I have the top 10 records here. 10 rows, 25 columns. Okay. Similarly, let's say if you want to see the records from the bottom, That is the last 5 records, let's say, in this particular table. Last 5 rows. So in that case, you can just write where our data is stored. Data is stored in df dot, and you can just say tail. So head is top 5 by default. Tail is bottom 5 by default. And if you execute that, here it gives you the bottom 5 records, right? So we have the bottom 5 records now, and here again, if you want to bottom 10, you can just put a number and this will display the bottom 10 records. Okay, fine. So we have seen how we can load the data and how we can view our data. Now, next, let's say we want to know how many rows and how many columns this data has. So if you want to know how many rows and columns, so what we want to know, number of, so we are just writing hash, then we are writing comments, number of rows and columns in the data set. So it's just one line function. It's just as simple as that. Okay, just like we were loading the data, we just say pd dot read underscore csv, and then we given the file path, right? So here you just have to write df dot shape. So when you write, it will tell you what is the shape of the data. Shape is nothing but how many rows, how many columns do we have. Okay, so if we just run it, it gives you an output where the first item here tells you how many rows do we have, and the second item here, over here, it tells you how many columns do we have. So here it tells us that we have total 30,000 records, 30,000 rows, and we have 25 columns. Okay, so this is just a basic, we are just seeing a basic information of our data sets. Okay, next, there is one more function which is df dot info, okay, with the brackets, and if we run it, now this also gives you information about the data set. So here it tells you that this is a pandas data frame, and we have 30,000 entries in this particular table, ranging from 0 to 29,999. Okay, and the data, it has total of 25 columns. Okay, and then it tells you what are the columns. So we have one ID column, and then it tells you how many null or non-null count do we have. So what do we mean by null values? Anyone? What are null values? Yes. What are null values? So null values are nothing but just missing values. That means there is no record, right? For example, let's say you're storing a data about how much marks you have scored. So what do? You write subject, right? Then you write marks. Okay, let's say subject is English, stats, okay, then you have calculus, and then you have, let's say, Python, and so on. Let's say you had attempted English, you had given exam for English and you got 25 out of 30. Stats, you had not given exam, so there is nothing. And then in calculus you got 25, and in Python you got 25. Okay, since you had not given exam for stats, there is no value against stats, right? So what is this? This is a null value. This is a missing value, right? So this is a missing value, nothing but a missing value. Okay, so here that's what we are getting. how many non-null. So this does not tells you what is the count of null. It tells you what is the count of non-null values. Okay. So it tells all the 30,000 are filled. There is no missing value in that. Then again, limit balance, all the 30,000 are filled. There is no missing value in that. Similarly, against each of this column we can see, okay, if we have any missing values or not. Okay. So there is no missing value in this. And then it tells you what kind of data is stored in that particular column. Is it a number? Is it a category? Okay. So here it says ID is nothing but an integer. Limit balance is nothing but a float. Float again is nothing but a fractions. Okay. Just like decimals. So it is nothing but decimals. Okay. Then again in the 6, again it is of integer type. Why? Because it is encoded as 0, 1, 2, right? So that's why. Similarly, if you see all this, you will get to know what is the data type as well. Okay. And at the bottom, if you see, it tells you total there are 13 columns whose data type is float. There are 12 columns whose data type is integer. And then it tells you what is the memory uses of this. Okay. So we know all this basic information about our data set. Now let's go ahead. Okay. And now what we are going to do is we are going to check how we can select a particular column. Okay. Let's say I just want to display a particular column. For example, I just want to display the default payment next month column. Okay. So how we can do that? So for doing that, we'll just write our data frame name where we have stored it, df, and then we will get the square brackets. Okay. And inside the square brackets, okay, inside the square brackets, in the quotes, we will have to write the name of the column that we want to display. So what we want to display, we want to display this default payment next month. Okay. So we can just copy this, or if you want, you can just write it and paste it here. And now when we execute this, so when you do shift enter now, what it does is it just displays you that one particular column that you have written inside the square brackets, right? So we have just selected one particular column. Now let's say I want to select multiple columns. So if you want to select multiple columns, in that case, we'll just copy this. And next cell, we're going to just paste it. And instead of this being, we're going to put one more square brackets here. So what we are saying is this time we are going to pass a list of columns that we want to select. So we'll add one more bracket, and here we're going to give one comma, and then we're going to, in the quotation after the comma, I'm going to write the next column name that I want to display. Okay. So in this case, let's say I want to display the next column. Let's say we want to display, what are the columns? Education. So here I'll write education, and make sure that you are writing in the correct, if it is in uppercase, you write it in uppercase because this is case sensitive. For example, if education is in caps, all caps, we'll have to write it in caps. If it is all in lowercase, we'll have to write it in lowercase. So we can see this over here. Education here is mentioned in all in uppercase. So here also we'll have to write that in the uppercase, right? So when we run this now we can see this 2 columns only that we have selected. One is default payment next month. The other one is education. Okay. Are you guys clear with this till now? Okay. All others, are you guys clear? Karthik says yes. Niranjana says yes. Are you clear, guys? Advait, Gobika. All right. So I hope you guys are also doing it with me. If you feel that we are fast, please tell me. I'll slow down, okay? I know that you are doing it for the first time. Okay. Now next, let's say, so this was basics of just pandas, okay? So we haven't done any analysis. Now we are going to start asking question about this analysis that we were doing. So what is the analysis that we are doing? We are trying to see who are the defaulters who are most likely to default on the payments. So we already have our data. In our data, these defaulters are already labeled, right? So we need to differentiate between the defaulters and non-defaulters, okay? And how we are going to differentiate? We are going to differentiate looking at their characteristics, okay? For example, we can ask a question, okay? If you are a male, is there more chance of you defaulting, or you have more chances of defaulting if you are female? So who among this male and female has more chances of defaulting on the payments, right? Similarly, we can ask question related to education, right? Those who are postgraduate, are they more likely to default on the payments compared to those who have just completed high school, right? So we can ask all this sort of question. Similarly, based on marital status, we can ask questions. Who is more likely to default? Singles, married people, or the divorced one, right? And similarly, based on age. First of all, we don't know, right? So you have given you have given a loan. What is the minimum age of the guy to whom you have given the loan? And what is the maximum age of the guy who has given the loan? So if you're a bank, you will prefer giving loan to the youngsters or the senior people. Anyone? So if you're a bank, which customer would you prefer? A younger customer who is of age, let's say 30, 35, or to a guy who is 70 plus? Okay. Youngsters, okay. Why youngsters? Because you have little predictability, right? With senior citizens, you don't know, right? You don't know, like, they have higher earning capacity, correct, right? And there is more predictability as well, right? Their life expectancy is going to be more, credibility is more, comparatively correct, right? So most of these banks, if you see, they prefer the youngsters for the loans, right? And if you're a senior citizen, if you're above, let's say 60, they are hesitant to give loan because you have a lot of liability, right? And there's no predictability of the life, right? So that's why people tend to give loan mostly to the youngsters. Can you tell me, based on education, will you prefer giving a loan to a guy who is a postgraduate than a guy who just completed his high school, whom are you going to give the loan? Yeah, okay, Niranjana says postgraduate. Okay. What were the others, guys? So if you have to give a loan, you will give loan to a postgraduate or a guy who just completed his high school. High school is nothing but just 12th standard, right? Or 10th standard. Yeah. Postgraduate, graduate. Okay. Now, all this are assumptions, right? We are just making assumption. We haven't seen the data. So all these are nothing but our hypothesis, our assumptions. So we say if you are a postgraduate, you are more likely to pay back my loan. So, but that is just my assumption. We'll see what does this data says. Is it true? So all these are assumptions that we are making. Then again, we are saying that if you are a youngster, I'll give you the loan because I have predictability of life and you have less liability. So you're more likely to pay back my loan, right? So all these are assumptions that we are making. Okay. So how true is this? We'll see. And that will be answered through the data. Okay. So now let's dive into this. Let's see this. Okay. So we are going to ask questions now. We are going to start asking question. Okay. So we'll see. First question is, which gender is more likely to default? Okay. So most of the companies, they don't want, I mean, there is a guideline from RBI that whatever policies, whatever decision you are making, okay, it should not be biased based on gender. So most of the companies, they don't prefer to use this gender biasness or gender feature in their analysis. Okay. But anyways, we have it here. So we'll just analyze it. So first of all, we'll just see, okay, now to answer this question. So what we are saying, which gender is more likely to default? How we can check that? So looking at your data, you have one column, which is gender, which is given as 1, 2, encoded as 1 for male, 2 for female. And then there is this default column. So it tells you whether the person is defaulting or not. So how we can summarize this? How we can find out? How we can come to conclusion? What sort of analysis we can do on this? Okay, if function. Okay. What about others? So first you need to visualize it, right? Maybe. So once you visualize this, this becomes easy. What you want to do, how you want to summarize. Okay. So first of all, let's say I want to visualize it. What I want is default %. So how many total rows do we have? Total rows we have is 30,000, right? 30,000 records we have. Compare male default to female default and see which one is more correct, right? That's how we are going to do that. So total records we have is 30,000 rows. Now either you can see it in counts or you can see it in percentage. Anything is fine. So out of this 30,000, overall we can first check what is the percentage of defaulters in this particular data set. Okay. So here we'll get some number. Let's say 20% are defaulters. Okay. And then non-default. So here we want to show that number, which is, let's say 80% are non-defaulters. Okay. So first of all, maybe we can do this. Find out the percentage of defaulters and non-defaulters, right? And once we find out, then maybe next what we can do is we can find out basis gender. Okay. For example, let's say I have a, how many male do we have? First we'll have to find out male. Okay. Then we have to find out how many females do we have. Correct? Once you find out male and female, then maybe we can find out, let's say total male we have is, let's say there are maybe, let's just keep it 20,000 are male. Okay. And just 10,000 are female. Okay. So what we are saying is we have given a loan mostly to the male, right? Because if you see the count here, female is just 10,000, comparatively male is double, 20,000. So we are saying 20,000 we have given the loan to male, 10,000 we have given to female. Then this adds up to 30,000, right? So out of your total loan, 20,000 are male, 10,000 are female. And then here maybe we can find out what is the default and non-default percent of male. Okay. So maybe here we can find out defaulters. So out of those 20,000 males, what is the percentage of defaulters who are male, right? So maybe let's say 30% and rest 70% are non-defaulters. Similarly, we can do that for the females as well, right? So out of this 10,000 females, what percent of female are defaulters? Maybe we can say 15% are defaulters and rest 85% are non-defaulters. Okay. So this is just a visualization. Okay. This is just a summarization that we have done, right? I mean, this kind of summarization is what we are looking for to make our conclusions, right? So overall, we had seen there are 20% defaulters and 80% non-defaulters. Then we segregated it basis gender, right? And we had seen there are 20,000 males. There are 10,000 females. Out of this 10,000, 15% are defaulters and 85% non-defaulters. Similarly for male. So this is what we want to do. Okay. So now we have an idea like what exactly we have to do. And now we need to learn how we can do it. Okay. And that is nothing but just you have to learn few of the Python functions for that. For example, let's say we want to know overall, right? What is the count of male and female? Sorry, what is the count of defaulter, non-defaulter? So you will just write df. And then which column has the information about defaulters and non-defaulters? It is our column default payment dot next month, right? So if you just write default, you will see a pop-up. You just press enter. So this column. So we have selected this particular column. Now out of this particular columns, it gives us this zeros, 1, 1, 1. But we want to summarize this overall. So how do we summarize this? We will write a function dot value underscore counts and end it with the brackets. So what will this value count do is it will give you the count of each value. For example, how many ones are present in this particular column, how many zeros are present, and total should sum up to 30,000. Okay. So if we execute this now here we can see, right? So here we are getting the count of 0. What is 0? 0 is nothing but non-defaulters. So out of this 30,000, 23,364 are non-defaulters, and one which indicates defaulter, which is 6,636. So we know overall what is the number of defaulters and non-defaulters, right? So what you need to do, you need to select that particular column and just do a dot value counts. Okay. Similarly, let's say if you want to see this in percentage, let's say you don't want to see this as a count. If you want to see this percentage, one way is you can just divide it by 30,000. So you can just write divided by 30,000. We already know number of rows that we have. It will tell you 0.77, which is nothing but if you multiply by 100, you will get the percentage, right? So you just need to again multiply this with 100 and you'll get the percentage. Else, if you don't want the percentage, you can look at this between 0 and 1s. So 77.8% are non-defaulters, right? 22.12% are defaulters. And if you don't want to divide it by 30,000, like if you don't know the number of rows, okay, the better way to do this will be, so we'll just go to the next line. We'll just keep that as it is. Here, there is a option you can just write in the brackets, okay, where you have to write, write inside this value counts bracket, normalize. And when you say normalize equals to true, what this will do is this will normalize and give you the percentage. So you're going to get the same thing. So like we had divided by 30,000. So I had removed that, right? So here we were getting the count, and now here it just does the division by itself. You don't have to manually write divided by 30,000. Okay. So here 77.88% are non-defaulters, 22% are defaulters. Is this clear, guys? Are you guys clear with this? Yes, okay. Now, but this is an overall level, right? We haven't differentiated between male and female. So now we are going to do that. So for that, let me just go to the new cell. And here we are going to write PD dot cross tab. Sorry. Okay, we'll talk about this. What is this cross tab? So this type of summarization where you have two columns. Okay. So here we had two columns, right? One was sex, male and female. The other one was default, non-default. And we want to analyze the data like this between these two columns so that we can make some conclusion. This we call it as cross tabulation. Okay. So what we are doing cross tabulation between these two columns. So which function we are using? We are using this PD dot cross tab. Now in this cross tab, I'll select the first column. So what I want to display here, I want to display the gender, male and female. Okay. So here we'll just write, so the column name df of this column 6, comma, and then we will select the next column between which we want to do the cross tabulation, df of default. So we can just copy paste this. Okay. And let me just run it. So what we are doing, cross tabulation between sex and the defaults. Okay. Let's just run it. Okay. Now this 0 and 1 is nothing but we had seen, right? If you read this over here, we had said, sorry, this 1 is male, 2 is female. Okay. So in here, 1 is nothing but male, 2 is female, this 0 is nothing but non-defaulters, this 1 is nothing but defaulters. Okay. So this is what we have got now. Let me just paste it here. Sorry. So these are the values. Okay, fine. Fine. Let's just keep it like that. Now, can you tell me? So here we have the count. I mean, the male which are defaulters, the females which are defaulters, male which are non-defaulters. So what does this cell indicates? Anyone? This 9015, what does it indicates? Yes. Count, right? Count of what? Count of male non-defaulters, right? So here, what does this 0 means here, over here? Yes. So this is nothing but default payment next month, these values, 0 and 1. 0 means non-default, here 1 means default. It's just encoded like that, right? Here we have the 6, 1 is male, 2 is female. So just like here, this particular cell, if I put number here, okay, so if I just copy this and put a number over there, okay, 9015 2873. And then let me just copy this and paste it here, and let's just remove this. All right, anyways. I think I should. All right, fine. Let's just remove this. Okay, so this is what we have got. These are values are just encoded, okay, but this is nothing but this table. What we have got is count, not the percentage right now, okay. So here what this cell, particular cells represent, it represent males which are defaulters. So we have got 9015 males which are defaulters, okay. This over here, it represents the male which are non-defaulters, right? So we have 2873 males which are non-defaulters. Similarly, the next row represent female. So there are 14,349 females which are defaulters and 3763 females which are non-defaulters. Now looking at this data, can you tell me who are going to be more likely to default? Is it male or female? Who are more likely to default on their payments? Yes? Female, okay. What about others? Okay. So looking at this data, we can say that most female are going to be defaulters, right? All right. All right. Okay, let's just continue. All right, just give me a second, guys. So, okay. But what we can also do is we can get it in the percentage, right? So also we can get a total, right? So what is the total number of males? What is the total number of females? And also we can see what is the total number of defaulters. So here we had seen, right? What is the total number of defaulters? So non-defaulters are 23,364, right? So here, this value should add up to that, right? 23,364. Similarly, how many defaulters we have? 6636. So here we have, it should add up to the defaulters, which is 2873, 3763. It should add up to that number, right? So maybe we can include that as well in our analysis. So here, what we can do is, we can just copy that code, can just paste it here, okay? And then here, we can just write, let's say, so there is this margins equals to, and you can just say true. Okay. So when you put this margins equals to true, now you get the sum row wise as well as you get the sum column wise as well. Okay. So here we have got this total. This total is nothing. Can you tell me what does this value represent? This particular value over here. What does this represent? What is 11886? What is that number? If you look at row wise, okay, what we are doing? We are looking at this row wise, right? So what is row wise? We have 1. What is this 1? Is it your default or is it the 6? This is male, right? Male count, right? So how many total males we had? 11,888. Out of this 11,888, how many males are defaulters? 9015. That means 9,015 males are defaulters. How many females are defaulters? 2873. 2,873 females are defaulters. Similarly, if you look at the second row, this is females. Okay. How many total females? 18,000. So who has more number? Is it male or female? Whom you have given more loans? Anyone? So have we given more loan to male or female? Females, right? Okay. So we have given more loans to female, and out of this 18,000, 14,349 females are non-defaulters, sorry, and 3,763 females are defaulters. Okay. And looking at the data, we were saying that females are more likely to default. But when you look at this in the percentage, we'll see, okay, because we have given more loan to them, doesn't, and this number is little high, doesn't mean that more females are most likely to default, right? So we'll see that. And what does this column represent? So if you see this column 0, what is this 23,364? Yes. This is total number of non-defaulters, right? So if you just go above, if you just go over here, and here if you see 23,364, what are this? Non-defaulters, right? So this column wise, if you look at this, it tells you non-defaulters count. So out of this total non-defaulters, okay, 14,349 are female, 9,015 are male. Okay. Similarly, the next column, 1, which is, it tells you the defaulters. So out of 6,636 total defaulters, irrespective of gender that we had, right? How many are male? 2873. How many are female? 3763. Okay. So you can look at this row wise and the column wise. Sorry. Now let's say we want to analyze based on percentage. So out of total females, we want to know what is the percentage of female who are defaulters. Okay. Out of total males, we want to know what is the total percentage of male which are defaulters. So in that case, we can include, let's just remove this margins now. Okay. So that would be nothing but you just divide it 9015 by 11,888. That will tell you percentage of male which are non-defaulters, right? Out of total male. And if you divide 2873 by 11,888, that will tell you the number of, percentage of male which are defaulters, right, out of total male. So here there is one more function which is nothing but similar to normalize, which we did in value counts. Normalize equals to. Now we cannot write true and false here, okay? Because we can normalize row wise as well as we can normalize column wise, okay? So here we are going to say normalize it based on index, okay? Index here means nothing but normalize this row wise, okay? So if you have 9015, okay, and if we just divide it by 11,888, what do you get? 0.75, and you just multiply that with 100, you will get the percentage, right? So if you want in percentage, you just write into 100, okay? So this is your percentage now, okay? So here we can see out of total males that we had, 24% are defaulters and 75% are non-defaulters, right? And here when you see for females, 20% are defaulters, 20.7% are defaulters, 79.2% are non-defaulters. So if you just look at the number itself doesn't tell the whole story, right? It is basis what you are comparing. Maybe the female number was more, that's why the defaulter number also went up comparatively, right? Similarly here, because the male number was less, there was just 11,000 males compared to 18,000 males, okay? Here the number is less. So if you just look at the numbers, you will see that this 3763 looks very high compared to 2873. So we assume that the females are more likely to default. But we can also see that there are more number of females. So better way to look at this will be the percentage, right? So out of total females, what percent has defaulted? Out of total males, what percent has defaulted? So now when we see it here, we can see that 24% male are defaulted, 20.7% female have defaulted, okay? So this has contradicted what we had seen before, right? So now looking at this, can we conclude that if we have given a loan to male, there are more chances of them defaulting than a loan that we have given to female? Can we do that? Can we conclude that? Can we make the conclusion now? Basis gender. Are you guys clear with this? Yes, no? What others, guys? Are you guys clear? Cool. Okay. So I have done it for one. Can you guys perform this analysis for one more column? I'll tell you. Can you tell me based on marital status? Okay. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0 is others, 1 is married, 2 is single, 3 is divorce. So can you perform the similar analysis and tell me who is more likely to default? Is it married people? Is it single? Is it divorced? or any others. So we have 0, which classifies as others, right? So you can take 5 minutes. You just need to perform the same analysis. You already have the code. And tell me, I'll just wait for 5 minutes. Okay. And then you guys can tell me. So you can use value counts, cross tab, all these functions. If you're done, you can put your answers in the chat box, okay? You have to do the same thing, just you need to change the name of the column. Okay, I have got one answer. The one in diverse category tend to default more, okay? What about others? Yes, have you guys done this? Okay, I have just got an answer from Niranjana. What about others? There was nothing you need to do, right? So you can just use this pd.cross tab. And here we just need to change the column name. So you can just make it as marital status. I don't remember the column name. Let's just see. Marriage, sorry, not marital status. Okay. Okay. And if you just run this, okay, let's just remove this normalize and all. Okay. And if we just execute this, okay, now here we go. So here you get the similar sort of summary, right? So this is your marriage status 0, 1, 0 stands for others. So maybe people were not interested in telling their marital status. So we have just put them as others, 0, right? 1 is single. I hope it is single. Just a sec. Sorry, 1 is married, 2 is single, 3 is divorced. So 1 is married. So these guys are married people, right? 2 is single, 3 is divorced, right? And if you want to see the margins, you just have to write margins equals to true. And when you execute this, it tells you the total as well, row wise total as well as column wise total. So column wise, it is nothing but the default, and row wise it is nothing but the marriage status, right? So total others we have 54, one that is married we have 13,659, single we have 15,664, right? And then divorced you have 323, right? So all these are total number of people, and total should add up to 30,000, right? And again you have default, which is we have already seen 23,364, and non-default is 6,636, right? Same thing. If you just want to analyze this with percentage, you can just say normalize, and here we can specify equals to, and we want to normalize row wise. So whenever you want to normalize this or you want to find the percentages, you will go row wise, and for row wise we give index. Okay, if you want to do column wise, you will write columns. Okay, so if we run it now, here we go. Okay, so 90% who have declared their marriage as 0 are non-defaulters, right? 9.25% are defaulters, right? If you want this in percentage, maybe you can just multiply that with 100. Okay, and we can see that in the third category, that is divorce category, 74% people, right, are non-defaulters, but 26% are defaulters. And if you look at the number, maybe we have given less number of people are divorced in our data set, but comparatively, if you look at the percentage, right, they're more likely to default, right? So here we can make conclusion from this too, that first analysis that we do is based on gender. So we can say that male are more likely to default, and on the second column that we have done the analysis, we can say that if we give loan to divorced people, they are more likely to default on their loan, because when you are divorced, you have more liability, you have your kids, right, and you have to do all by yourself, right? So we have seen this two columns that we have analyzed, right? Now let's say I want to visualize this data as well. So this is just in the tabular form, we have summarized it. How can we visualize this? How we can make a graph, right? So if you want to make a graph, we have seen that we can use this matplotlib. Okay. So we will use this matplotlib now to visualize the data. For example, let's just say first thing that we had done is we have got the value counts, right? Okay. So here we have got the value counts. Same, I just copied and pasted here. So this data we have, let's say we want to make a bar chart where on x-axis we will have defaulters and non-defaulters, and on y-axis, that is the height of the bar, it will tell us the count. Okay, so how we can do that? First of all, I will just store this in a variable. I will just name it as count of default. Okay, so same thing, same piece of code. What I'm doing, I'm just storing it another variable and I'm naming it as count of default. Okay, and this is my count of default. Okay, so if you want to make a bar chart, so we have named matplotlib.pyplot. So we have given it a name, right? What is the name that we have given? We have given a name as PLT. So what we are going to use now, we are going to use this PLT now. Okay, so let's just go down, and here we are just going to write PLT dot, okay, bar. Okay, so when you write PLT dot bar, here we are specifying that we want to make a bar chart. Now for bar chart, two things are needed. One, so we have two axes, right? One is your x-axis and the other one is y-axis. So what do you need on x-axis and what should be displayed on the y-axis, or what should be the height of the bar? Okay, so we are saying the x-axis should be equals to, so we have already stored this count of default, and from this we want the index. So what is index? Index is nothing but this 0 and 1. We are calling this as index. Why we are calling this as index, we'll see. Okay, and then we can say the height. What is going to be the height? So here we will have to specify height equals to, okay, so the height of this is going to be count default, and this is again a data frame. Okay, and here what is the column name? We are going to specify this as count. Okay, now here I have written this as index. Index is nothing but just like a serial number. So you have given 0, 1, so on. So we have just named it. And when we execute this now, okay, sorry, it should not be index, it should be dot index. So count default dot index. Okay, fine. All right, so let me just reframe this. So this is one more thing. So this is our series. Okay. So we have in pandas something known as series and we have something known as data frame. Okay. So we'll have to go more in detail if we start talking about series and data frame. I don't think we have that much of time. Okay. So here, this is one series, and when you write series name, which is count default dot index, it gives you this. So we call this as indexes. Okay. Indexes are nothing but just like a serial number. So we have got 0 and 1. Okay. So here we are getting this. We are not able to see this. We have this range which is ranging from -5 till 1.25 or let's say 1.5. Okay. And here we have count default dot index, and height we are saying just take this values of the series, which is 2, 3, 3, 6, 4, 6, 6, 3, 3, 6. Okay. But if I take this graph to anyone, will you be able to make sense of this? What this graph tells you? Can you make any sense of this? No, right? There's no information on this graph. What does this bar represent? What does the second bar represent? What is on x-axis? What does this y-axis represent? Is it count of people? It is the sales that you have made, right? It is the number of eggs in the, let's say, mall that you have sold. What does this graph represent? There is no proper title given to it, right? So when you are making a visualization, you have to include all this in your graph. You should give proper x-axis label, y-axis label, what is on y-axis. You should give the title to your graph, right? So here, how do we do that? So if you want to write a title, in the same block of code, we will write plt dot title. And in the brackets, in the quotes, we will write a title. Okay. So we'll say count of defaults. Okay. And when you execute this, now we got a title in our graph which says count of default. But still we don't have any information what is on x-axis and what is on y-axis, right? So what we will do, we'll add more information to this graph. Let me just put this in the next cell. Okay. For example, here. Okay. So we have got a title, and if you want to add a label, you will write plt dot x label. So what is there on the x-axis? So on x-axis we have defaults, right? Which is nothing but 0 and 1. Similarly, on y-axis we will write plt dot y label. So we are labeling our x and y-axis. What do we have on y-axis? Count. And now when we run it, here we have count of defaults, right? That is our title. Then we have x label, which is default, which is given as 0 and 1. And then on y-axis we have the count. So now this makes little sense, right? Then what we have in the first run, without any title, without any thing on this graph, right? But still, if you see over here, this represents 0.0, but we don't want all these ranges, right? So it ranges from minus 0.5 to 1.5, but we don't want that. This is not a histogram. This is just a bar chart, right? So we can use better functionality in Seaborn. So we had also imported the other library, which was Seaborn as well, right? Which is nothing but SNS. And SNS gives you better graphs than what we get using this matplotlib. So if you want to make a bar chart using Seaborn, you will just write SNS dot count plot. Okay. And in this count plot, you don't have to do anything. You just need to write your data frame name and pass the column. So just write like we do DF default payments next month, and you do dot value counts, right? So here what you're doing a value count over here. But if you're using C1 count plot function, for example, if you just say SNS dot count plot, and if you just pass this without value counts, just column name, internally what this will do is it will do the value counts and it will also give you the graph. Okay, and this graph is going to be much better than what we have seen using this matplotlib. Okay, so we'll see that. Let's just wait. Okay, it's taking time. It shouldn't take this much of time. Okay, have you executed? Are you guys able to see in your notebook? Interrupt this and let me. Okay, there is some issue with this. Okay, because we are just using Google Colab, but when you run it locally, if you have installed Jupyter Notebook, it should work fine. Okay. Anyways, we can just modify this graph itself. Okay. I think Seaborn functionality, it's taking time in Google Colab. Anyways, what we want to do is we want to get rid of this minus 0.250, 0.25 and so on. Okay. So what we can do is here we can just mention plt dot x limit sorry, not limit, x ticks. Okay, and we can specify what should be the ticks. So we can say 0 is non-default, so we'll pass it in the list, and then we can say comma, and we can give default. Let me see, still executing. Let me just pause this. Okay, and let me just run it now. Fine. All right. Okay, so we can just modify this graph itself and we can use it. So maybe the functionality of Seaborn is not supported currently in Google Colab. Okay, but when we run it locally, it should work fine. All right. So here, this is our final graph now. Okay. So in this final graph, what I have done is I have added one more functionality, which is plt.xticks. Okay. So this is nothing but I'm saying what should be the ticks on x-axis. So I'm saying at 0, place the value default. Okay. And at 1, place the value non-default. So here when you see, this is 0, which has become default, and this is 1, which has become non-default. So I should write otherwise, right? So it is non-default 0 and then default, right? Okay, let's just run this. Okay, yeah, so this is non-default and this is default. Okay, so this is our bar chart and we can visualize this, right? Now similarly, if you want to change the color of this bar, so you can do that as well. There are a lot of things that we can do with this graphs. Okay, so let me just copy this. I'll just go to the next cell, and here if you want to change the colors, you will just write colors, okay, equals to, and here we'll provide a list of colors. So how many bars do we have? We have 2 bar. So we'll provide the color. Let's say first one we want it to be red, and second one you want to be green. Let's say first one we want green because that is non-default, and the second one we want it to be red. Sorry, it should be color, not colors. Okay, so now you have got this graph where we have also specified the colors as well. So what we did in this function plt.bar, we have specified what should be x-axis, what should be the height, and what should be the color of this bars. So we're saying first one will be green, the second one is going to be red. We have added a title, we have added a label, x label, we have added y label, right? And we have added a text, right? So 0 and 1. So we have non-default and default in here, right? And now this graph looks more beautiful, right, than what we had seen in the first one. So we had a graph, there was no title, nothing specified, no coloring, right? And now this graph, when I take it to someone, they will be able to understand, right, what is on x-axis, what is on y-axis. We have a proper title, and we have also done color coding as well, right? Is this clear, guys? Yes, no? Are you guys there? Are you guys clear with this? I don't see any response. Okay. Fine. So we can do all this analysis on the other variables as well. Okay. So we had done this analysis. We had our cross tab, right? So this was cross tabulation between marriage and the defaults, right? And this was what we got. Okay, let's say you want to visualize this as well. So we have something known as stacked bar chart and group bar chart. Okay, so once you get this kind of summary, and directly if you want to plot it directly, also you can just write dot plot. So I have got this summary, I'm just putting this dot here and I'm saying plot, and here I'll specify kind equals to, and I can specify I want a bar chart. Okay, and when I run this, Now this gives me a group bar chart. Okay. So maybe we should do it for 6 and we can see more inferences from there, right? Okay. Now, okay. So what I did, we had the same cross tabulation between 6 and the defaults, and then we are just writing dot plot and we are specifying what kind of plotting we want to do. We want to do a bar chart plotting. Okay. Now here, I don't have to put all this information. I just have to write what is the title of this graph. On x-axis, I can already see there is a label which says it is a 6, right? 0, we have 1 and 2. 1 is male, right? So we know that. And 2 is female. I can give a y label. Y label is nothing but we can give the count, right? So all those things that we have done above, we can just write it. Here we can just write plt dot x label. Okay. And in x label, we can specify, sorry, x label is already there. So we'll specify y label, and then y is nothing but the count. And then we can specify plt dot title. Okay. And here title is defaults versus gender, right? And I don't have to specify all this colors and everything in this. And also you get to see this legend on the graph, right? So which tells you 0, I mean blue is for 0, that means non-defaulters, and this orange is for 1, which is defaulters, right? So this is 1, which is 6, this is male, and this is the count of male non-defaulters. This is count of male which are defaulters. This is the count of female which are non-defaulters. So 0 represent non-defaulters, right? And this is the count of female which are defaulters. Okay. One more thing what we can do is I can save this graph and I can use it in my report. I can use it in my PPTs, anywhere that we want. Okay. So if I want to save this, plt dot, we'll just have to write save figure. So plt dot save fig, in the brackets you give a name to your graph. For example, I can say default, okay, versus gender dot, and you can specify the type. So I'm saying dot png. So when I run this now, it has displayed me this graph, but if I click on this folder icon now, so when I click on this folder icon, I can see this default versus gender.png. And if I want to use it, I'll just click on this 3 dots and I'll just click on download. Okay. So it will download for me. And now when I open this, okay, I can see this graph. And now this graph, I can use it in my PPTs. I can use it in my reports, anywhere that I want, right? So it is that easy. Okay. And there are a lot of functionality in Python, in pandas, okay, that we can utilize to do our analysis. Okay. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay. So we had a limited time. We just had 3 hours. Okay. So this is just a basic case study. Okay. So we have done it just for 2 variables. Maybe you can analyze the other variables as well. Okay. If you're interested. And you can make all this different sort of graph. You can do data analysis, data analytics, right? Through Python. Not just Python. Also, there are other tools that you need to be a good data analytics professional. So you need the knowledge of SQL, right? You will need a little bit of maths. You need a little bit of statistics, right? A little bit of programming and a little bit of domain knowledge as well. Okay. So yeah, so I think we have come at the end of this session, but I would like to introduce to you this data analytics course by arivuPro. Okay, so this course is going to start from the 4th of January. Okay, and in that you are going to learn everything from basic okay, to the advanced concepts. So what we are going to teach in that courses, you're going to learn about Excel, okay, you're going to learn about visualization, dashboarding using Tableau or Power BI, okay, you're going to learn about Python, okay. So in Python there are a lot of things, okay, it's just an ocean. So what we have done is just the very basic, okay. So in that course we are going to learn about basics of Python, then we are going to learn about advanced Python, then we are going to learn about data analytics using Python. So there you're going to learn about all these different types of analysis, graphs that you can make, all the different kind of projects, okay, in analytics, not just in banking but also in other domains, e-commerce, retail, what all you can do with Python, right? Then again you're going to learn about SQL. So SQL is nothing but structured query language, okay, which is very important. So if you go for any interviews in the industry right now, so even for data analysis role, business analysis analytics role, any analytics role, so you need the knowledge of SQL, okay. So you're going to learn about SQL in this course as well, and also you're going to learn about R programming. So this is a very extensive program designed for analytics people who want to transition from other domains to analytics, okay. And also at the end of this course you're going to also learn have placement support as well, okay. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. So if you have any questions, we are open for Q&A. You can ask your questions and we will love to answer those questions. And yes, I'm going to share this with the team and they will forward it to you guys, all this notebook and PPT that we have used in this session. Guys, have any questions? You have any questions about regarding this session or about anything, you can ask me. Advait, thank you so much, Advait. Yeah, so if you have any question, I'm just waiting for that. All right, thank you, Priya.